Valentine's Day is around the corner. And as a single woman in her late 40s, I'm actually looking forward to it. I know, I'm supposed to be sad about Valentine's Day because single and lonely. But honestly, I am a huge fan of love. I am a huge fan of Love Day, and I'm an even bigger fan of self-love. 8 of the things that I plan to do in 2025 to be madly in love with myself. Not just confident, but madly, insanely in love with Libria this year. My name's Libria Jones. I am, as I said, a woman in her late 40s who is insistent upon living this one and only life to the absolute fullest. And to be clear, this is not just for the over 40 girlies. If you are in your 30s or even if you are in your 20s, hang around. Man, some of the stuff that I'm going to talk about are things that I wish I knew and did more of when I was in my 20s and my 30s. Speaking of which, I'll be honest, I don't feel like I had a ton of self-love in my 20s and my 30s. And here's the thing about self-love. It's not something that you just wake up with every single day. Self-love ebbs and flows. And sometimes you find yourself in a position where it is ebbing. And you're like, where's the flow? But where is the flow? I recently pulled myself out of a funk in 2023. In 2022, my self-worth, self-love, self-confidence was at an all-time low, although it's not been in years, decades even. There are some things that I did that kept me from falling all the way back into that funk. Okay, let's start. I'm gonna start with the 8 things that I already do and that I'm just gonna continue to do in 2025. And I think they served me well, and I think they'll serve you well too. So I'm gonna grab my iPad because I actually wrote notes and I don't wanna forget anything. Ooh, the first one, I love the first one. Taking myself on fancy dates. Like making reservations. I don't mean just like going to a restaurant and sitting at the bar and eating alone. I've been eating alone and going to the movies alone since I was in my 20s. I have taken it a step further and I will call and make dinner reservations for one. I will get dressed up, I will put on makeup, I will put on heels, and I will show up and say that I have a reservation for Jones. And that's it. And I remember posting about this. A few women commented under that post and was like, I wouldn't know what to do at dinner alone, or I'm afraid to look lonely. And I'll be honest with you, I don't care how I look to other people. First of all, think about this. When you go out to dinner, if you're on a date or if you're with your friends or your family, you're mainly focused on what's happening at your table. Like, when was the last time you scanned the room and looked at some person that was there by themselves with pity? Like, nobody's really paying attention to you. They are focused on what's happening at their own table. Even if somebody did look at me like I'm lonely, that don't change the taste of my food. It does not change the balance in my bank account. It don't change the fact that my face is beat. None of that actually matters in the grand scheme of things, right? You would be surprised. I think a lot of people look at women who are dining alone with a bit of admiration. I've actually heard people talk about how they've gone out to eat and saw this woman sitting there looking great, eating alone, and they admired her for being able to do that, for being so comfortable with herself that she was able to do that. So you might be projecting and you might assume people are looking at you, and people are not studying you. They worried about how well done their steak is, okay? They're not thinking about you. I think it is important to be in a place where you enjoy your own company, not tolerate your own company. You enjoy your own company. You are so comfortable with yourself that you don't need anybody else around to enjoy yourself, whether that be isolated in your house or at a restaurant in public or at any public venue. I think it's important to get to a point, whether you're married or not. I don't care about your relationship status. I think everybody should be comfortable with themselves to the point where they actually enjoy their own company, not tolerate their own company, enjoy it. I need some lighting in here. Let me open this blinds. Let there be light. Take yourself out on a fancy dinner. You deserve it. You deserve it, honey. Go ahead, make some reservations at that restaurant you've been thinking about going to, but you've been wanting somebody to take you on a date. You know the one I'm talking about. You've been like, oh man, I would really love for a dude to take me on a date. You take you on a date to that restaurant. And let me know what restaurant it was and if you enjoyed it. That is my challenge to you. Take yourself on a fancy date. Okay, the second thing that I started doing was journaling. And Historically, I was not a person who loved journaling. Growing up, that was just not my thing because I saw journaling as this daunting writing assignment almost, where like you're supposed to write this deep, loving, detailed, dramatic essay style recount of your day, your life. And it's just, honestly, that just comes from the movies, right? People reading their journal and it's like, it's so profound. It's so deep. And so I never really got into journaling, but I was like, you know what if journaling doesn't have to look like that? What if journaling looks like just jotting down a few things here and there? And it actually helps. It helps a lot. I have seen so many studies on how beneficial journaling is, how it helps make people feel better, how it positively impacts mental health and just your overall temperament as well. And so I was like, yeah, let me get into journaling. And so I started doing the gratitude journal. But I think the major key was the journal that I started doing before I went to bed at night. I started writing out 3 things I love about myself every night. 3 things, just 3 quick things that I love about myself. And they can be little bitty things like I love the sound of my laugh. Or it could be something big, like I love the way that how well I know my friends. So I'm writing 3 things that I love about myself every day. And that has been a huge, huge benefit. I love doing that before I go to bed at night. Okay, the third thing I want to share that I do that I think is a really, really great way to improve your self-love and has worked well for me is something really small. And I got the idea from my friend Noelle in Chicago. And that's whenever I order things now, I write a little gift message to myself. Yeah, I write a cute little gift message to myself. Like I ordered myself a cute little bag and I sent myself a gift note with the bag that says, "You deserve everything you want." And it was just so sweet. And a lot of times I forget what I put on that note when I ordered it. So when you get it in the mail, it's like this nice little surprise. It's like this nice little kiss on the cheek from your past self. I actually love this idea. And thank you, Noelle, for giving me that idea. If you guys are into books and Booktube things in the Bookstagram world, you should really go follow my friend Noelle. Her name on YouTube is Dash of Noelle. She shares a lot of great book recommendations, and she's just a cool person. So I will put her handle in the description box so that you can go and follow her on YouTube. All right, the sun's going down. I'm about to turn the lights on because you can barely see me at this point. Hold on. That did not work, so we had to change locations, but it's all good. We're gonna keep it going. We're gonna keep it going, keep it flowing. Okay, the fourth thing that I have to share that I did to help improve my self-love is get dressed on purpose. I know that sounds crazy. It sounded crazy as soon as I said it out loud. I make this joke all the time about how sometimes I leave the house and it looks like the house caught on fire and I just had to throw some clothes on and leave. And I want to stop doing that. And that's things like throwing on some leggings and a t-shirt or throwing on some jogging pants and a t-shirt. And not really putting any thought into how I look when I'm leaving the house, even if I'm just running errands. And honestly, I can tell a huge difference in the way I act and the way I carry myself when I've gotten dressed intentionally. And I'm not even talking about put it on. I'm not talking about put on a full face and get super fly, but like you actually feel good about the way you look when you leave the house. Even if it is a jogger, it's a nice jogger set with some cute shoes and some earrings and maybe a little lip gloss or something, right? And so I love the idea of being intentional about getting dressed, or as I say, getting dressed on purpose. And I'm gonna keep it 100 with y'all. I fell off of that a little bit in 2024. So I am definitely leaning heavily back into it in 2025. Number 5, date just for fun. Like just for the fun of it. I feel like so many times I hear women complaining about dating. And when I dig deeper into those conversations, it's because they go on dates and they treat them like job interviews. And they're basically trying to decide if this person can be their husband. Listen, I think that I'm not here to give dating advice because I'm also single. One of my friends said this one day, we were talking and she was complaining about guys and dating. And I said something and she was like, but you're single too. And I was like, yeah, but I'm at least having fun. Like I'm at least having a good time. I'm not angry with men and I'm not mad at the situation. And every time I go on a date, I have a good time. And so I think that one of the things that I used to do that I think I will go back into doing in 2025 is dating just to have a good time, just for fun. And I know some of you rolled your eyes as soon as I said dating for fun or even dating in general. Some of y'all heard the word dating was like, oh, hell no. Because I know dudes are a mess these days. But what if they are not a mess? What if the stakes are too high? What if you lowered the stakes? Now, I'm not saying lower your standards. Pump the brakes. I am not saying lower your standards. What if we lowered the stakes? Where, like I said, he does not have to be your future husband or your future man. You don't have to think about him as like somebody I can build with. What about if he is someone that you can enjoy a game of bowling with? What if he is someone that you can enjoy a wine tasting with? And that's all. Or whatever else you want to enjoy. We are adults on this here channel. All that to say, I enjoy dating for fun because I don't know, there's just something about the lightness and the flirtiness of it and not having all these expectations and all this other stuff that makes me feel a little bit powerful, to be honest with you. I feel attractive, I feel sexy, and if things work out, they work out, and if they don't, they don't. You had a fun date. Like, I think I'm bringing back dating for fun in 2025 for sure. You may not agree with me, but that's what I'm gonna be doing over here. Number 6, so the 6th thing that I have done and will continue to do more of is doing new things and learning something new. I love this one. I love learning new things. I love trying new things. I was watching someone's YouTube channel and she said, somebody asked her, when was the last time you did something for the first time? And she was taken aback because she actually could not remember when the last time was that she had done something for the first time. And that's wild. We get to live only once. Why do all of the same things over and over again? I mean, how many brunches and day parties can we go to? Don't get me wrong. I love a brunch and I love a day party. But also, what about learning how to skate? What about learning how to jump rope? What about going to an improv night? What about just doing something you have not done before or that you would never do or that's kind of outside of who you see yourself as? What about doing something corny that you're like, oh my God, I don't want any of my friends to know I did this. I'm gonna tell you what mine is. I kind of want to go to a Renaissance fair. Shh, I know. But it's something I've never done before. And I feel like I would have a good time. Anyway, all that to say, I think it's a good idea to do something that you have never done before and also to learn something new. Partly because I think it increases your self-efficacy and your belief in your ability to handle anything, especially when you're learning new things or when you're pushing your comfort zone or doing things that you didn't even realize that you liked. Like, you start to learn so much more stuff you start to learn so many more things about yourself, and you just realize, like, I can do hard things, I can do new things, I can do scary things. So I think it just really does a great job of building your self-efficacy, which in turn increases your self-love. Plus, you become more interesting. You have all these interesting experiences that you've collected, right? And that you can share when you go on these fun dates. Okay, number 7 is honestly right on time for this time of year in the, early part of the year. Reaching the goals that you set for yourself. I have so much faith in my ability to do things because I put forth the effort of setting goals and being ambitious and then going after those goals with reckless abandon. Okay, that's dramatic. But I think that, setting goals and reaching those goals, whether it be something big or something small, I don't care what the goal is, doing things like that really kind of increases, again, your self-efficacy and your belief in yourself and in turn, self-love. So that is something that, of course, I plan to do in 2025. And then the last thing, number 8, that I have done and will continue to do in 2025 is it's a twofer. Be honest with myself and give myself grace. I try so hard to be very self-aware and very honest with myself about the things that I do really well and the things that I do not do well. And the things that I do well, I'm gonna tell you something, I'm gonna lean into those things and I'm gonna give myself pats on the back about those things. But the things that I don't do well, those are things that I give myself grace for and try to find ways to address. And I think both of those things contribute heavily to self-love. One, because you have to know yourself to love yourself. You have to really know yourself to love yourself. And it's hard to know yourself if you are afraid to be honest with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself about who you are, what you're good at, what you're not good at, what you need to work on. And those things that you need to work on and the things that you're not good at can't be the Black women martyrs or women martyrs. Women like to be, somehow we wrap ourselves up in martyrdom on a regular basis. And the example that I give are things like, I give of myself too much. I do too much for other people. I don't say no often enough. No, but like, what are the things that you really need to work on about yourself? When I think about stuff like that, I usually ask myself the question, if my friends and family were gonna divorce me tomorrow, this would be why. Those things that they don't like about me are probably things I don't like about myself also. And those are things that I want to work on so that I can stop beating myself up about not being good at those things or struggling with those things or doing those things without thought or intention. And so I can stop being disappointed in myself or mad at myself for that stuff. And so I think there's a place for we give ourselves grace because we are humans and there's no cure for that. And so there are always going to be things that we're not that good at, right? There are always going to be negative sides of us. But I think there's that piece of like understanding what those things are, giving ourselves grace and thinking about how do we work towards being better and accepting that we will likely always be working towards being better, especially at the things that don't come naturally to us, the things that aren't that great about us. We will likely always be working on that, and that's fine. I have a lifelong goal of self-mastery, and so I am okay with working on those things for the rest of my life. And sometimes I'm gonna slip up, and I'd like to thank my friends for sticking around, even though I do. So yeah, number 8, and the last thing is being honest and self-aware and giving myself grace. I think that is huge for self-love, and I think I will be doing even more of that in 2025. Okay, we hit on the things that I said I was already doing that I'm gonna keep doing. Now I wanna hit on some things that I plan to do in 2025 that I don't feel like I do enough of or at all. And this is 8 quick things. Number 1, when people give you a compliment, agree with them. I just recently started doing this, maybe a few months ago, so I started in 2024. One of my biggest pet peeves about women, about my fellow gender mates, is when people give us a compliment, a lot of times we try to talk them out of the compliment. I told a young lady one time that her eyelashes look really good, and her immediate response was, "Oh, I need to get them done." And I was like, I just told you your eyelashes, I think they look nice. Are you telling me I'm wrong? Are you telling me I shouldn't think that? Like, the appropriate response is thank you. But we do that all the time, and we do it without even thinking. Stop trying to talk people out of their compliments. That's not what this tip is. I started being intentional about trying not to do that years ago. What I am on right now is not just accepting the compliment, but agreeing with it. I've gotten in the habit of doing things like if someone says, "Oh my God, Libria, your skin looks so good," I respond with, "You know what? I agree. It really does look good right now. Thank you for noticing." Or if someone says something like, "You look so pretty," I'm going to respond with, "Thank you. I felt pretty." I am going to agree with the compliments. So again, years ago, I got past talking people out of their compliments and started just accepting the compliment with a kind thank you. And now I'm moving past that. I think I'm graduating. I'm graduating to the next level. I am agreeing with your compliments from here on out. Number 2 is taking time for grooming. I used to brag about the fact that I could get dressed in 15 minutes. Like, I thought that was a badge of honor, that it didn't take me long to get dressed. I wasn't one of those girls who takes forever getting dressed. And now that I am a woman of a certain age, I'm looking back at that girl like, girl, that was not cute. And I'm not talking about general hygiene, right? Like, I'm talking about grooming versus hygiene. Of course I wash my behind, right? Like, all these things. I just pride myself on being efficient. But I also realize that I think there's like the basic level of hygiene, like your mama taught you, wash your ass, wash your body parts, wash behind your ears, brush your teeth, all that stuff. And I like to give everyone the benefit of the doubt that we take care of our basic hygiene. But for me, that was pretty much it. Like, I'm just doing the basics. And then there's that upper level of grooming. And somehow I fell into the whole hygiene girlies on YouTube. And I actually love watching them because they talk about their routines and all the things they do and the lotions they use and all this other stuff. And so I got into this point where like I was really taking my time grooming myself. And honestly, it feels amazing. It feels amazing to take care of myself in this way. And I don't mean just taking care of, this is caring for me. And it feels amazing. And so I'm gonna be doing more of that in 2025. I am here for putting on multiple layers of moisturizer and smell good to go to bed by myself at night. Like I am here for it. Okay, the third thing that I want to do more in 2025 to fall madly in love with myself is being more reliable to myself. Everybody needs reliable people in their lives. It's very important to have some people in your life who you can rely on. It's even more important to be a person you can rely on. Things like, you said you were going to the gym this month, so go. You said you weren't gonna drink. Why are you drinking? I realize that every time I don't do the things I tell myself I'm gonna do, it chips away a little bit at my self-respect and self-love. Yeah, if I'm honest, every single time I say I'm going to do something and I don't do that something, there's this little bit of a chipping away, like a small chisel, just chipping away at my self-respect and my self-love. It causes me to not believe in myself just a little bit. And it triggers a tape of negative self-talk. You never do this, or you always forget, or you said you were gonna do this, of course you weren't. I want to keep my word to myself more often so that I don't trigger those things. That means sticking to my word, but that also means giving myself less things that I need to be reliable for as well. That means saying no to myself sometimes. I do have a habit of creating too many things for myself to do or promising too much to myself. And so one of the things that I want to do in 2025 is to keep my word to myself more often so that I can be more reliable to me. And again, sometimes that looks like giving myself less things to be reliable for or responsible for. Number 4 is something that I think we all do and we try to do, but I'm going to be very intentional about it in 2024. And that is looking out for my future self. I'm gonna tell you something. Every time I do something or I forget something or I find myself in a position like, oh crap, did I? And I realized that I had already in the past done something to set myself up for success today. I'd be like, you know what? Thank you, girl. My past self is that girl. She loves me. She cares about me. She looks out for me. And so one of the things that I want to do in 2025 more often is be intentional about looking out for my future self. Listen, I got to look out for me. I got to look out for me tomorrow, next week, and when I'm 80 years old. I got to look out for her. One of the things I've been thinking about a lot is the 80-year-old version of me and making decisions today and doing things today that will make her life easier, but also make her proud of me. I want my 80-year-old self to be like, yeah, that girl looked out. Thank you, girl. I'm living a good life. I'm healthy. I'm mobile. I got a little money in the bank, all because of you. Oh, thanks to you. So I am keeping her in mind all of 2025. My 80-year-old self, my 50-year-old self, hell, myself a week from now. I am looking out for my future self in 2025. The 5th thing that I am doing is trying to find what my signature look is and like redefine my style to help fall madly in love with myself and the way I look. The 6th thing, I love this one, is to keep some positive clapbacks handy. Let me tell you what I mean by that. You know how we all have negative self-talk from time to time. I don't care how mentally strong you are and how much you love yourself. Negative self-talk comes up. It just does without you even trying. Like it just pops into your head. You say negative things about yourself from time to time. And to be honest, forget anybody that tells you to just turn it off. I think that's easier said than done. We are humans. Negative self-talk happens. And I think rather than just being like, oh, just don't do that, I think it may be better to be prepared with clapbacks. Let me give you a couple of examples. So I've tried on some clothes and it didn't work out. It just didn't work out. And my brain is saying, I don't look good in this. My positive clapback is, this garment isn't cut right for me. It's not me, it's this garment. Or here's another one that plays in my head often. You're always spending money. You never save. You're just not a good saver. The positive clapback that I have for that is something like, I am learning to be a good saver. I am working on being a good saver. I actually saved XYZ last year. So I am working on having some positive clapbacks ready for when the negative tape starts to play in my head. Number 7 is stop accepting discomfort. And I don't mean the discomfort that comes along with trying something new or pushing yourself outside of your comfort zone. I mean physical discomfort. We normalize our pain, especially as women, especially as Black women. We normalize our pain. We step over it because we got to take care of the kids, or we got something else to do, or this is just how it is. Things like stomach pain, back pain, not sleeping well, perimenopause, all kinds of stuff. We are a suck it up kind of people, okay? We'll just deal with it and suck it up. And one of the things that I want to do, because I love myself and to help love myself more, is to not live in discomfort and not normalize pain and discomfort. And some of these things impact our mental health. Some of these things impact our physical health, and some of these things even impact our confidence. And then the last one, number 8, that I'm going to lean into in 2025, even more to fall madly in love with myself, is therapy. Therapy, ladies and gentlemen. I think therapy is such a great way to have someone help make sense of how you process things, your behaviors, how you haven't processed things, and to make you feel like you're seen and heard, and also make you feel like you're not messed up or alone, right? And so I think that everybody should have a therapist, honestly. But that is something that I plan to, lean back into in 2025 to help fall madly in love with myself. That is number 8. And number 8 is a great one, I think. If you don't have a therapist and you're looking for one, a couple of great resources are Therapy for Black Girls. Psychology Today has really great filters. You can filter on all kinds of specialties and all kinds of very specific things that can help you get to a therapist that you would feel comfortable with. And then I think there's a couple of apps as well, like BetterHelp. I have not used BetterHelp yet, but I have used Therapy for Black Girls and Psychology Today. And listen, I'm about to be so madly in love with myself that love songs play in my head every time I look in the mirror, okay? Like, I'm about to be in love with Lib. All 2025. All 2025. And I hope that you are in love with yourself in 2025 as well. In fact, I hope that we are all in love with ourselves for the rest of our lives. I really do. Let me know in the comments if any of these things resonated with you, or if there's some things that you do to help increase and maintain your self-love. And I hope you have a great Valentine's Day. If you're watching this after Valentine's Day, I just hope you have a great day. And if you enjoyed this video, if you enjoyed hanging out with your girl, go ahead and hit the like button. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on alerts so that you get notified when I post new videos. And thanks for hanging out with me today. I will see you in the next one.